Hi, everyone.
Hi, all.
Hi.
Settled in.
Thanks for joining.
If you are all settled in, drop into the chat the bottom of your Zoom bar there. Let us know what city or region you're dialing in from today. We'd love to know where around the world we have friends and colleagues logging on. Happy Monday. Always a delightful way to start the week. Hey, Dustin, with a ILEA webinar, virtual conversations. Nice opportunity to kick the week off on a good tone.
Oh, we got a mix today. All over.
Wow, look at all this.
Sunny LA. Beautiful, beautiful.
Awesome. Chicago, Boston, Toronto, Canada.
Cloudy Seattle. Yeah, it's getting to that time of year.
Yeah, definitely felt the shift towards fall today.
New Orleans.
Austin.
Throw me something, mister.
New Orleans.
Oh, my friends from Napa, please tell me that you're all safe.
We're all hanging in here.
Awesome. Well, why don't we let the rest of the group log on and get settled, and let's get started so we can have a great conversation today. I'm going to cover this off in some remarks in a few minutes, but this session is being recorded as always, and we will be sharing this content again on ILEAHub.com. So anything you type in here, any conversations we have will be recorded, and you can check back in ILEAHub.com down later in the week for this content. So welcome to Industry Advocacy and Action, a conversation we're so excited to be having with the Live Events Coalition. My name is Lisa Marks. I'm one of your ILEA International Board of Governors. I'm joined today by Dustin Wessling, one of my fellow Board of Governors, who will moderate today's conversation with our friends at the LEC, and our International President, Dana McCauley, CSCP, who will say hello in a few minutes, as well as Alexandra Long from our ILEA headquarters team, and of course, Bonnie and Nancy, our colleagues and friends at the Live Events Coalition, who we will introduce in just a moment. On behalf of the entire ILEA International Leadership Team and all of our chapters globally, I want to say a huge personal thank you to all of our amazing members for being here, for choosing to invest in yourselves, invest in the future of your careers, invest in this industry with ILEA. This community really is powerful, and without dedicated and committed members just like you, we really can't produce webinar content like this, so we're so grateful to have you a part of our organization. To those on the call who aren't yet ILEA members, we welcome you also. If you believe that a supportive community, on-demand education, and professional development are essential to your success in whatever the future of this industry brings, you have come to the right place. I encourage you to be in touch with your local ILEA chapter or in whatever region that you're coming in from today. Check out ILEAHub.com as well for tons of complimentary resources and more information. Big thank you to our partners and friends at Giants Enterprises for sponsoring all of our industry recovery webinars, including today's ILEA Forum conversation. This partnership really does enable us to ensure that we bring rich, relevant, and useful content to you throughout the year, specifically focused on empowering you, the event professional, through recovery. Quick little note about our friends at the Giants. Giants Enterprises is dedicated to the curation and development of new ventures complementary to the San Francisco Giants franchise by delivering larger-than-life experiences to millions at Oracle Park and beyond. Giants Enterprises creates memorable events, abundant with excitement and engagement both virtually and in person for their varied partners, as well as local and international visitors, hopefully soon again, right? Positioned at the intersection of sports, entertainment, meetings, events, tourism, and hospitality, Giants Enterprises provides the rare combination of people, experiences, and platforms necessary to create giant impressions. Thank you so much to Giants Enterprises. Our entire membership and this whole community is really lucky to have you play the role that you play in our industry, so thank you. Okay, quick note on logistics. So Alex will just flip ahead. I'm sure there's very few people on this call that haven't been on a Zoom webinar before, but I thought I would just run through this so we can have an effective conversation. At the bottom, you've probably become accustomed to the chat box. Please continue to type in there. That's a great spot to share high-level thoughts or any comments you have throughout the conversation. But on the further down on the Zoom bar at the bottom is a Q&A button. So open up that box if you have specific questions you'd like answered by Bonnie or Nancy or ourselves from ILEA. And we will moderate that box more so than the chat. So I encourage you to ask succinct and specific questions in the Q&A box, and Dustin will do his best to prioritize those questions. There's also a like feature. So if you see a question already asked that you're interested in hearing the answer for, just hit that like button and it will promote it up to the top. As I mentioned before, this session is being recorded as always and will be shared on ileahub.com later in the week. So without further ado, let's jump into remarks from our international president, Dana McCauley, CSEP. Dana, nice to see you here on a Monday morning. Dana has just a few words to say on behalf of the organization, and then we'll jump right into it. Dana, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa, for kicking us off today and for the introduction. And hi, everyone. As Lisa said, I'm Dana McCauley, CSEP, your ILEA International President as of the past month. And it's my pleasure to be here today. And thank you all for joining us for this session. It's been 5.5 months, wow, since we first convened our ILEA task force to monitor the impact of COVID-19 on our businesses, our jobs, our community, our industry, and our lives. When the pandemic first began, our ILEA International leadership team not only felt a huge sense of honor that we were in a position to assist our community, but we also felt a huge sense of responsibility. We knew that we had to do everything we possibly could to give our members access to relevant information, knowledgeable experts, and high-quality education. Over the last 169 days, ILEA has created over 70 hours of webinar content to support our members and our entire live events community during the pandemic. And we have been, and we are, listening. On every webinar, Facebook thread, the ILEA community posts, we have been staying connected and listening to you share about the resources you have been needing and wanting throughout this time. Thank you to all of our engaged members for sharing your thoughts and your challenges with us and with the world. It's so important now more than ever. And ILEA's heard you loud and clear. We understand that you want to talk about what each of you can do to rebuild this incredible industry, which includes access to advocacy efforts. We also know that we can't do any of this alone and that our industry is truly better when we act together. So today, it's our pleasure to introduce you to our colleagues and friends from the Live Events Coalition. This conversation with the team at the Coalition is the beginning of a journey of recovery and rebuilding. So please join me in welcoming Nancy Schaefer and Bonnie Fimiano, CPCE, from the Live Events Coalition. And please let me also welcome Dustin Westling, our International Secretary-Treasurer from ILEA. And as Lisa said, Dustin will moderate the conversation and ensure we cover off on as many of your questions in the Q&A box. So I'm going to be going off video in just a minute, but I'll be staying on for the whole session and joining you again at the end. So now, Dustin, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Dana. Beautiful words. Well put. I share all of those sentiments. But let's get this conversation going. So I have the pleasure of introducing my two new Zoom friends that I hope one day we can share a glass of wine in a lobby bar somewhere. But for now, we're gonna do this over Zoom. So first up, Nancy Schaefer. Nancy is the Live Events Coalition Board President, founder and CEO of Bravo Events, an award-winning Washington, D.C. based firm of strategic storytellers bringing clients' missions to life for almost 30 years. She's also the founding member of she is the founding member of the DC Event Coalition, Board of Directors for InventU, and mentor founder of LBA Group, which is the Ladies Being Awesome Group. I love that name. As Live Events Coalition Board President, Nancy is committed to advocating on behalf of the entire live events industry to ensure our unique needs are understood and we are seen, heard, and receive the relief and support needed during these unprecedented times and beyond. Thank you so much for being here, Nancy. Awesome. Okay. We've got Bonnie Fimiano. Did I nail it?
Yes. You said it right.
Awesome. Small business owner and founder of Cafe a la Carte for almost 25 years, two-term president for NACE South Florida and board member for 18 years. And she is the Live Event Coalition board member and director of membership. I'm so honored to have you guys here. Nancy, we're going to kick this off with a short video, and I will throw to you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's just a quick little video we wanted to share with you that's pretty much fresh off the press. It'll tell you a little bit about who we are. Oops, I have to share the screen. Hold on, my bad. This is why planners have technical departments. Give me 1 second and we will make this happen. All right. I was so proud of myself that I had it all queued up. There we go.
The live events industry and the workforce that makes up 12 million employees were devastated by the COVID-19 pandemic. We were the first to go offline, and we will be the last to come back to work.
March 15th, the starting of the epidemic, what looked like would be a wonderful year in the world of catering and special events just ended. March 15th was the end of the year for all of us.
Tonight, the DC events industry came together to really show their support for each other and let Congress know that we need help. You'll see 48 tables out on the mall. Each table represents 250,000 members of the live events industry workforce, which add up to 12 million members of our workforce.
On a normal night, there'd be hundreds of waiters here, hundreds of staff from various fields. Tonight, there's nothing. It's devastating. There's no business. Everyone's out of work.
I am just one of many members of this industry that have faced major cancellations and reschedulings this year. We're guessing that about 80% of our industry has been rescheduled or canceled, which is really a hardship for a lot of folks, and a lot of friends in my industry are not going to be able to recover.
So all of us here, we're really hoping that Congress listens to us, that they help us out, because there are a lot of smaller businesses, younger businesses in the industry who just aren't going to survive. And we don't want that to happen. We all want us to survive through this and have a great 2021.
We want to get back to work. A lot of us have had to make hard decisions in our businesses about furloughing employees and letting other employees go. And we really want to be back at work, and we want to do more, and we need to find ways to do that.
Thank you so much for that, Nancy. I think that is simply put, but it pretty much frames up what everybody's feeling, that we want to go back to work. More than anything, we want to go back to work. So before we kick off, why don't, I'm just going to ask both of you, what was going on in your worlds before all of this started? And then really quickly, how did you get involved in this? So maybe I'll start with Nancy.
So before this started, I was continuing to focus on my business here in Washington, D.C., Bravo. Bravo Events primarily works with nonprofits, but we also do corporate work to basically tell their stories, which is what most of us do. Most of us, no matter what vertical we're in, are storytellers, and we bring people's stories to life. I was looking at a good year. I was looking at an exciting year, rebuilding. And it ended. And we all know that it ended, and it came to a screeching halt. As we started to see the writing on the wall, the DC Event Coalition was created, and I was asked amongst 6 others to participate. And what it truly started as was just a support group that said, holy, you know what are we all going to do? So we came together to kind of support one another. And as we all know, sometimes that doesn't happen in our industry. These were all planners. And so technically, on one level, we were competitors. But what we really were now were leaders in an industry that realized that we were in trouble and that we needed to support one another. At the same time, there were other coalitions, state coalitions around the country, and there was the Live Events Coalition that had just begun. And I was asked by one of my fellow DC board members and a fellow national board member if I could represent and just be the ear and participate in what was going on with national. And My short story is this. Everybody talks about how they pivoted. My pivot was not something that I walked into and said, I'm going to pivot and this is what I'm going to do. It just kind of was what evolved. And so I basically put Bravo kind of on hold on top of other things. I didn't pivot to virtual events. I didn't pivot to other ways that people can stay in business. I pivoted full time to making sure that our industry is heard and seen. And that's where my pivot kind of came from. So it was not by design, but I think by somebody else's design. I come from a very active family background, and I think that sooner or later somebody was telling me that I needed to be involved in an advocacy organization, and this is where I've landed. And it is humbling and an amazing honor to be able to be a part of this.
That's great. Thank you, Nancy. So it sounds like you're still bringing stories to life. It's just different stories.
It's our story.
Our story. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Bonnie, same question. Tell me a little bit about what life was like before all of this and how you got involved.
So life for me, my name's Bonnie Fimiano. I am the owner of Cafe a la Carte for the past 25 years. In March, we were just coming off of the Super Bowl in South Florida, which I cannot tell you the planning and everything that had gone into that. And South Florida was just booming with events. And we were finally taking somewhat of a breather in March. And then all of a sudden on March 15th, as we know it, the events industry came to a screeching halt. When I had seen the first change.org, which please don't go on it. Please do not donate any money to it. That was my spring into action call. I reached out to Isaac, who actually started it, and said, as a leader in South Florida, what can I do? How can I get involved? How can I use my resources? And what do you need me to do? And that was how I came to be at the Live Events Coalition. And I haven't stopped working that position on the national board, basically 24/7 since I joined the national board. And I will not end until we see light at the end of the tunnel for our industry. And I couldn't be more proud to be working with such an amazing group of national board members. I'm known to have a big mouth in my industry, and now I've become an advocate. I've become a lobbyist. I have made great relationships with a lot of the legislators. I used to be Mrs. Fimiano, and now I'm Bonnie. And I am going to do whatever it takes to be able to be part of reopening our industry safely, carefully, effectively, and in the professional manner in which all of us work on a daily basis normally.
That's great. Thank you, Bonnie. As a fellow loudmouth, I totally hear you, and that's awesome. So, Nancy, I'm going to throw back to you. We talked a little bit about how the coalition was founded. So maybe just tighten up how it was founded and what the core mission and purpose of it is.
Absolutely. So as Bonnie stated, back in March, Isaac Rothwell, who is our executive vice president of the Live Events Coalition, and several of his colleagues were frustrated and scared. He is a small businessman. He is out of the Chicago area and a small businessman who has a small AV team that they work on and works with. And he didn't know what to do. And so he said, I'm going to put this petition up. And he wrote a very compelling petition that I saw, I signed, I gave money to. That's a story that we will address later. But it exploded. And he said he woke up the next day and there were 10,000 signatures, which gave him an indication that he was not alone. And then what followed with that was people started to reach out, whether it was me or Bonnie or other national board members, lots of volunteers, and this ragtag team of event professionals became advocates. This is not who we are, as we well know. We are those people that are behind the curtain. It is our job to be invisible, and we've done a remarkable job of being invisible. And unfortunately, in this particular predicament, we can't be invisible. And that is really what we all began to realize. So very quickly, a group of strangers who, in all fairness, most likely would have never met, no different than my ability to say hi to Dustin or Lisa or Dana or Alexandra. The silver lining is this amazing industry expanded, and through technology and Zoom, we are all connected. The mission of the organization and the reason that we are what is called a 501c6. Many of you will understand what that is, but nonprofits are any number of C's. A C3, which is what I believe ILEA is a charitable organization, a 501c6, and we were very thoughtful about what it was and why we designed ourselves to be a C6 and filed for that designation. Is a C6 is a business organization that can advocate. In other words, we can lobby. If you live in Washington, D.C., as I do, lobbyists do not like to be called lobbyists any longer. They are now government relations firms. And so we decide our mission is to advocate on behalf of the live events industry. What I want to be clear about in terms of what the live events industry is from our perspective, it is that we are advocating for all professionals in live events. So what that means is everything from a concert and stadium event to a bar and bat mitzvah to everything all the way down in between. So what happens is that an industry that we all know was kind of verticalized, for lack of a better word, where each of us kind of walked in our own vertical, we realized that this pandemic was not impacting just one segment. It was absolutely impacting all of us. And so our mission is to advocate on behalf of the live events industry as a whole, the estimated 12 million plus professionals. And in addition, it's to bring awareness to who we are as an industry, the power of our ecosystem. Many of you know that you have conversations probably with family members and they go, what do you do? What is your job? I don't understand. And so we had twofold. We're advocating on the Hill to make sure that our elected officials in the United States paid attention that ours is a unique situation and a unique story. First closed, last opened. And what that means, because probably 90% of our industry are small businesses or independent contractors or 1099 workers, that we needed a voice and we didn't have one. We didn't have one that was unified. The other part was that we also needed to tell our story. Who are we? Who are those magic makers or event warriors that stand behind the curtain? We had to open the curtain. We had to make sure that we were in a position where we were standing in front of that curtain in a very uncomfortable way, because that's not who we are as an industry. Our job is to make sure our clients look good and those events and experiences are smooth. But we really do want to be invisible, even if we are the person that's on the floor. I joke, in a red gown that looks like I might be a guest at a gala, but I have a ClearCom headset on and a clipboard and a walkie-talkie. My feet hurt. I haven't eaten. All of those things that are the beauty and glamour of the events industry. And so that is our mission. Our mission is to bring together an industry and to bring us into one voice, to make sure that we are heard and we are seen, and that our needs are addressed in a somewhat different nature than many others that exist. And it's not to say that anybody else's hardships are not as bad as ours. So, you know, the restaurant industry, we consider our sisters and brothers. The hospitality industry, whether it's, you know, hotels or conventions and visitors bureaus, are our brothers and sisters. But the truth is, at the end of the day, we are all one ecosystem that makes a massive contribution to the world. And that's really what our mission is.
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy. So Bonnie, with 12 million plus event profs being affected, you're the coalition's membership chair. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who your members are and the benefits they're receiving as being a part of the coalition?
Absolutely. So how I would like to start off the conversation in regards to membership, being a long-standing member, past president of an association, it was really important for me when I embarked on membership to be able to convey and explain to people what the difference was between the associations that we have all belonged to and been committed to, and some of the not such great press that some of the associations have received for lack of assistance for its members. So that was one of my goals, to really twist that around and show the difference between the Live Events Coalition and the associations that so many of us are very dedicated to for so many years. And I start off with that because the associations that we all know are there for us for education, certification, networking opportunities, education, and a host of other resources that we get through the association memberships. The difference between the Live Events Coalition is that our main purpose, our main function is for advocacy and lobbying on behalf of our members. When we first embarked on the membership, we wanted to be very cognizant of the cost because obviously everybody is facing such great hardships. So we tried to make that, membership affordable while giving a great voice to so many people. In a very short time that we started membership, I think we're into it now for about 5.5, almost 6 weeks that we started membership. We just cracked over 1,000 members, which if you look at the glass half full, that is amazing under such dire circumstances that we are in. If you look at it, the glass is half empty, there's 12 million of us, and where are we all? So I choose to look at the glass being half full, that there are people out there that absolutely want a voice. Since the Live Events Coalition started, we have over 26 coalitions in different states across the United States. I see a lot of people who are asking how they can get involved. Is there a coalition in their state? What can they do? So a lot of the things that we are asking our members to do is when you go onto the Live Events Coalition website, you will see very simple, easy letters that you can just click on the link, fill out your information, and it goes directly to your state legislator. And there'll be a list of different people that letter is going to. That's the first thing. When we started, and Nancy can attest to this, when we first started, we were called those people in the hospitality industry. So most of us know that the airlines, the hotels, and the cruise lines in South Florida, more than likely they will get bailed out. We have worked very hard to be called the live events industry and live events professionals, because we are not part of that hospitality group of hotel people that are displaced. We have fought very hard for that, and we have seen that. We have seen so much coverage coming our way explaining the live events industry has been decimated. So that's a really big thing that we, in a short period of time, have been able to accomplish that. It's also very important to continue to follow a lot of the social media activations that we're doing, which we'll talk about as well for members in regards to the Red Alert activation, writing letters to your local officials for the Restart Act. And the most important thing I would like to stress to everybody on this call is that the Live Events Coalition is bipartisan. We will work with any legislator that is willing to help our people. We don't care if it's the Democrats, we don't care if it's the Republicans. We are just looking for help for our people, the 12 million of us. And that's really basically, you know, our goal for membership is to be that advocacy and that lobbying voice for everybody. Anybody on this call that wants to volunteer, wants to get more involved, all of us on the national board, we're always eager and very inclusive. We actually just formed an entire amazing Florida state coalition that came together very quickly, and we are in a key state because Senator Marco Rubio is the chairman for the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee. So anybody that's in the state of Florida, you are one of his constituents, and he is eager to hear from all of us, and he is definitely helping us along the way. Our rally that we had in Florida was very successful. We got a statement from him immediately following the rally that he is going to continue to battle for small business owners because we are the engine of America. So please don't be complacent. Please don't think that your voice does not matter and that your action doesn't matter, because right now, that is the most important thing that you can contribute is your voice, your time, and your action for advocacy. That's what we need.
Awesome, thank you, Bonnie. We talked last week about how a membership with the Live Events Coalition is an essential add-on to your already existing memberships. So your associations, doesn't matter which one you're a member of, where those passions are, let's keep those going. Those are going to be a big part of recovery and rebuilding, and getting involved with the Live Events Coalition is something that should be added on to something that you're already doing. So
Absolutely.
that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Nancy, many of us have seen the empty events. The video was such a great showing of the one that I believe was in DC, happening all around the country the last few weeks. Can you tell us a little bit more about those empty events?
Sure. So as I spoke earlier, we engaged a creative advocacy firm by the name of Subject Matter. And there was two sides to this. There was the communications effort and there was the legislative effort. And on the communication side, one of the things that started, and some of you may or may not have seen it, some of you may have actually participated, was we started with something called Wish I Was There. And the Wish I Was There hashtag campaign was to begin to bring ourselves to the forefront. You know, we're notorious for putting beautiful photos of our events and the experiences that we've had. And we tasked everybody with, no, we don't want to see those. We want to see you. And so that was the beginning of the Wish I Was There. And that Wish I Was There then evolved into what we called our carousel posts, which were, while you wish you were networking, we wish we were working. And it wasn't intended in any way, shape, or form to say to anybody, you shouldn't want to participate, but understand you can't go to any live experience, any meeting, any wedding, anything that you're invited to or you pay a ticket for. You can't go unless we are able to work. And we wanted people, again, to begin to understand that. That then evolved into, how do we showcase what that looks like to the legislators? And our communications team, along with ourselves, thought, well, how do we showcase that visual? And so we created this empty event activation almost as an art exhibition, so that you saw something and it made you go, well, what is that and why is that? So far, we've had 6. The very first one took place in Dallas, Texas. And that was followed by the activation that took place in New York. And in New York, it actually was in Times Square. And in the video, you saw some signage that scrolled across the screen. And that was on something called Godzilla, which is the largest electronic billboard in Times Square. And our wonderful New York, New Jersey coalition coordinated that through all of their relationships in New York, and it was wonderful. The following week was the DC Event Coalition, which is what you saw in the video, and we were able to pull a permit that was produced in 7 days. And then we've also had them in LA, San Diego, and Denver. And there are more that are being continued. They kind of are popping up all over the place. And the purpose of them is to do just what they've done, is to make people go, well, what is this? Why is this? To showcase to people that it takes a lot of people to produce something. We did, one of our board members was curious and did a did a real quick study, and she reached out to all of the people that had participated in an event that she produced for 350 people, and it was a gala. And what she said was, I really anticipate it'll probably be about 70 people. And she asked everybody to tell her from all of her team and partner who touched that event. And the number came back at 298. Now we know with large conferences and large events, it's not going to be one for one, but it was to showcase that this doesn't happen magically. Our guests arrive to an experience that's completed. They are the completion of that experience, but then when they get there, it's done. And when they leave, it's still there. They don't see what it takes to set it up, and they surely don't see what it takes to break it down. So the intent of the empty event is to showcase for the world what it is that we do. It's also brought our industry in each of these locations together to feel as if we're doing something in terms of what it is that we do for a living every day. And it's nice to be there. I will tell you that as a DC person, when I stepped out of my car and I walked to the installation, which was at that point completed, people that know me know this isn't a big stretch, but I cried. And I cried because it was so powerful to remind me of who we are in this amazing industry and what it is that we do. And it was emotional on a sad side, and it was emotional on a really powerful side, and it continued to make me feel very proud. And so we have them anticipated for Boston, Nashville, the San Francisco Bay Area. Will be doing them in Sacramento and I believe San Francisco. There may be another in Los Angeles. So the state coalitions that Bonnie spoke of are all coming to us and saying, we want to do an empty event. And so what we'll do is we'll provide you kind of with an outline of what does that look like from a messaging standpoint. And then you and your teams in that location create an empty event. And that's really what their purpose is. And they really are quite powerful, as you can see, that they just kind of resonate with people.
That's great, Nancy. It sounds like one of the byproducts of the Live Event Coalition is really bringing our industry together in a way that I don't think we've ever had to face. And you know, this industry is one of the things that is so incredible about it is that we really do work together and we really do strive together. But this is the first time I think we've had a common goal and a mission where we've all come together and said, we're going to do what it takes to move forward. So I think that the MP events is such a great example of that specifically.
My hope, Justin, my hope is this. My hope is that that when the pandemic goes away, and guys, it's going to go away, our new normal will be just that. But for the Live Events Coalition, our objective and our goal is that we stay together, that we become that cog that says we are an industry.
Right.
Not a vertical, but we are an industry and we need a voice. When we first spoke to our government relations firm, the first thing they asked me was, do you have an association? And we said, well, we have lots of associations. And he goes, no. You have one association that basically speaks for the entire industry. And I said, no. And he said, wow. And I said, that's what the Live Events Coalition's mission is and our intent. And he said, it's critical because unfortunately, this is not the last time we will need a voice where we all come together. But as Bonnie said, as you've said, this is not a replacement for any other organization that is out there. All of these associations are really important. ours has a very different mission, and we want to be the convener and the connector of all of the different voices that are out there.
Dustin, I just want to point out something else as well, just to kind of piggyback. You know, through the course of all the lobbying and advocating that everybody on the national board has done, you know, it's kind of, we're working like from the bottom up and the top down, if that makes sense, because there are so many legislators out there that don't have any idea about what we do as a profession, what we're capable of doing, how we create events. And so when we talk about guidelines and things that are in place, you know, every state has its own rules and regulations based on where your state is right now as far as the pandemic is going. But what I have found and what I have seen is that there are so many legislators that just don't understand. So what we're doing is we are basically educating them. You know, and I've said this so many times, you know, after 9/11, nobody ever imagined that it would be second nature when we got to an airport to take off our shoes, take off our belts, and get undressed in the middle of the airport after 9/11. Now it's kind of second nature to all of us. You get there, you know what you need to do, you move on. So now, like how I look at this pandemic, we want to be able to educate the legislators on how our professional industry can open back up for events safely, carefully, effectively, knowledgeably, because this is what we do. So now it may turn around and be second nature when you walk into a hotel. There's your person taking your temperature. There's somebody in the next section doing a rapid test for you in order for you to enter. You know, there's so many different things that we know are going to come to fruition in the new norm when we open, but we are a flexible industry. So the most important thing I can, again, keep reiterating is, you know, try and get involved, talk to legislators, get involved with us. And this way, the more people we educate to understand, they all attend our events. They are all part of galas, fundraisers. Once they hear the numbers of our contribution to the economy, all of a sudden, like, the bells go off and the whistles are going off. That's an awful lot of money to contribute. And our industry is just gone. So it's a lot of this has been grassroots, boots on the ground education, and we are getting there. We are gaining momentum, and people are understanding now what we do.
That's awesome. Bonnie, really quickly while I have you, and then we're going to move to some Q&A. Is the Live Events Coalition just for people that are in the events industry? We were talking a little bit earlier about the first round of messaging and how we're talking to people that love and enjoy going to events. Is it applicable for them as well? And also family and friends, is there an importance to share this outside of our normal networking groups?
Absolutely. If you just from the perspective of concerts, festivals, all the large scale major league sports that everybody loves to attend. I mean, we are so fragmented and so segmented, but we are such a huge ecosystem. So yes, when I'm talking to my friends and my family, I tell them, you know what, join the coalition at whatever level you'd like to join, because what you are doing is you are helping us have a louder, stronger voice and a louder, greater advocacy effort that's going to push us forward and get people to understand. And anybody can join the Live Events Coalition. When you put the deck up on the screen, you'll see all the different opportunities for membership. But again, you don't need to be part of the industry. We see a lot of famous people now coming forth and doing public service announcements for the restaurant industry. We want people who have connections to famous people that want to say, hey, listen, I'm J-Lo and I did the Super Bowl, but you know what? There were 3,000 people behind the scenes that enabled me to get on that stage, and we can't forget them. And that's a really important part of who we are.
Perfect. Thank you, Bonnie. So I'm gonna grab a few questions out of the chat here. So fire around. I hope you guys are ready.
Yep.
How do those of us who are active with our local state governments access any of the data, resources, or messaging that you have to help amplify their messages? So those that are in senior roles, that are talking to governments, how do they connect the dots here?
Well, I think there are a couple ways to answer that question. Ivory, who is my chief of staff, actually put a link in the chat box to the UJoin letter that Bonnie was referring to. And that is a letter that is on the Live Events Coalition page. And that will actually go to your local. So it goes to all of the leadership, but when you put your what do you call it? Zip code into it, it then will pull up what your local folks are. So that's number one. Number two, if there are any specific relationships that you have with those legislators, if you would reach out to me, then we can connect with some of our other state coalitions who are actively engaged with those, because we want to make sure that that voice gets amplified. And you can reach me at one of two emails. Ivory, can you put those in the chat box so that I don't butcher them? The last time I put it in the chat box myself, I gave somebody the wrong email address. So that's number one. Number two, we are actually in the process and in the midst of a Twitter campaign, and we will absolutely share with you post-call what those tweets are that we want you to send to your legislators, because they're very direct and very poignant. And I think that answers that question. There are a couple of others in this question box that I know need to get addressed, and just let me know which ones you would like me to.
Sure. Yeah, I'll keep you going. So other than lobbying and advocating for financial support, what is the coalition doing to get people back to work safely? What do those efforts look like?
Sure. So we have begun a partnership with an organization called ESA. ESA is the Event Safety Alliance, and the Event Safety Alliance came to be 7 or 8 years ago. Primarily the Event Safety Alliance's focus was on the concert and festival focus for safety in stages, and it came about when there was a concert where a stage came down in the wind, and unfortunately 7 people lost their lives, and many of you know those stories. And so we have begun a partnership with them to begin to help build version 2 of the Event Safety Alliance Reopening Guide, and bring our voices to that. Many of our state coalitions have in place documents that they have shared with their state leaders that say we want to reopen this way and this is how we're going to reopen safely. Our objective right now is to work very closely with the Event Safety Alliance and come up with what we're calling the hymnal. We have 5 legislative asks that are our hymnals. We're going to come up with 20, 30, not sure what that number is, that says if you're an event professional, you agree that these are the ways that you as a professional are going to go back to work. Because as we know, there's a lot of underground events that are taking place that are not run by professionals and are not playing by the rules and are creating problems for the rest of us. If it says 50 and you don't follow the rules and now 125 people have been tested positive for COVID, you're pushing us back. And we want to make sure that there is a common voice that says, these are what we are committed to. It's hard. There are 50 different states with 50 different sets of rules, but we're trying to make sure that there is one baseline that we are all in agreement to and that we're all pushing forward.
Awesome. That's great.
We'll share more of that as it comes to be. That's a new relationship.
Great.
Dustin, can I make a shameless plug right now?
You go for it.
Okay, if you see these amazing coffee mugs that Nancy and I both have, so 50% of the proceeds go directly to the Live Events Coalition. It's a fundraiser. Ivory's going to go ahead and put the link in the chat box. So again, 50% of the proceeds, it's Event Warrior. It's really cool. They have t-shirts. I would have worn mine today, but didn't get here yet. And 50% of the proceeds go to the Live Events Coalition for that. So
just so you know, because you can't read it, it says Event Warrior, someone who solves problems you never knew existed in ways you never knew possible. See also, this is my favorite, Badass, Magician, Champion. Every single one of us on this call should have one of these. Just so you know, it's just the mug that we get proceeds from, but go on linderglobal.com and there's all sorts of swag that's really fun.
Awesome. The link is in the chat box. I will order my mug this afternoon, I promise.
thank you.
A question here from my friend Ruth, and I bumped it to the top because I'm curious about the answer too. Are you partnering with the Events Industry Council to leverage their resources and advocacy? Sorry.
So we have been in, so again, sometimes when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, it's been 5.5, 6 months, and I've had more conversations with industry organizations than I can possibly imagine. We will circle back to Amy Calvert with EIC and have ongoing conversations with her. Some of what their focus is a little bit different than what ours is. They are membership organization based. We take both individuals as well as organizations. But yes, our intention is to align with everybody. She is also, EIC is a major member of Meetings Means Business, which was started from the US Travel Organization in 2008. Somebody posted in the chat box, great, we're starting all over. What happened from 2008 to 2011? Unfortunately, we're starting all over, but we are in conversations with all of these people and they absolutely know who we are. We have apparently made enough noise that people go, who is the LEC and where did that ragtag team come from? So it's wonderful to know, but yes, Amy is on our list of relationships that we continue to evolve with.
That's great.
Also, if they go to the liveeventscoalition.org website, you'll be able to see all of the organizations that have partnered with us. The list is extremely impressive as far as all of the partners that we've gained in such a very short period of time.
That's great. A lot of the questions are about, are you partnering with this person? So
Yes.
I'll direct everybody to go to the Live Events Coalition website and see if they're there. And if you notice somebody is not there, then it's a great opportunity for you to introduce.
Exactly.
Absolutely, because our industry organization partnerships are critical to our growth and they're critical to our industry. So absolutely, if there's somebody we've missed, let me rephrase this. If there's somebody that's not on the website, it could be that we are in conversation with them now, or it means that we don't know of them and we are going to, I will be happy to begin to kind of put those conversations in place.
That's great. Can maybe one of you just touch quickly on the Red Alert event tomorrow night?
So the Red Alert, just so everybody understands, it is not an LEC produced event. The We Make Events Red Alert action came from Europe. Several different countries in Europe lit up their buildings red to bring awareness to the plight of our industry. Several people here in the United States took the ball and ran with that and created the We Make Events organization. We are supporting that action, but we are not producing that action. The intent for that action is, and if you go to wemakeevents.com, is it .com, you'll see where they're having it. So in each of the cities that it is going to take place, they have what they call an event manager, and you can reach out to those people if you want to participate. The intent for this is to light up any and all buildings red. I know that in Florida, Bonnie's coalition is lighting some. I know in DC they are lighting some, and they're lighting them around the country. But other than our support of that action and our supporting what they're doing, because the two primary legislative acts that they're bringing attention to is the restart bill and extended PUA. For anybody who doesn't know, Restart is focusing on small businesses, and Extend PUA is the extra dollars on top of the pandemic unemployment insurance that you get. I know I'm speaking to some people in Canada. Right now, we're not advocating in Canada, and partly that's because I think your government is handling this a little bit different than ours. I have a personal opinion that may be better than ours, but so we have not done that. But that doesn't mean that we don't want your support and that this ultimately could not become a global organization. Right now, we're just focused on the U.S.
And for all of our Canadians, there's a couple helpful links in the Q&A box. If you click on it, you'll see the liveeventcommunity.org as well. You should definitely be watching Meetings Mean Business Canada. Our Calgary friend Clark Brewer is leading that charge, and he's doing some incredible work. So there's lots of great work happening here, and I can imagine in the future they may all find each other, but for right now, the LEC is definitely in the US. We're going to wrap up, but I want to address Lauren's question about what local chapters, ILEA chapters, can be doing to help support these initiatives. You are more than welcome to support them through your communications. You're more than welcome to put the word out there. I know Amy Lotz, our executive directors on here. We're going to put together some communication to help simplify this for you and help you understand what we can and cannot do as far as the communication of advocacy and lobbying. So hang with us. We'll get that out to you soon. I'm just going to check and make sure we got everything. I think we did.
Are you going to put the deck up?
Yeah, let's do that right now.
Okay, great.
Alex, ooh, she's on it.
Thank you.
And while we're going through that deck real quick, because I know we're running out of time, absolutely reach out to me or reach out to Bonnie or go to our website. Any and all questions, we are there to answer for you. Take it away, Bonnie.
So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a lowdown on our membership so that you know. We're comprised right now of over 20% of event planners are the main thrust of our members, which we can all understand why. 14% are event producers, 12% are caterers. We have 10% production companies that are full service. We have event technology, live entertainment, decor, photographers, invitation company, booking agents. So we have established our membership categories so that everybody that joins the coalition actually has a category. So that was very important to us as opposed to always being the other. And hopefully, as a result of this, through our government in the United States, we will actually wind up with a category that we can also fill in for the live events industry as a profession. So as you see on here, membership, can we scroll this or am I in control of this? There we go. So it basically tells you everything about what the Live Events Coalition is. Most important to take away from this is that we are bipartisan and that we are fighting for everybody. You can see all the different avenues of representation. When you go on the website, I'm certain that there's a place for everybody that's on this call here through our membership. And if your category is not there, I'm happy to add it for you.
Alex, can you just flip forward one more?
Yeah.
Let's just get to the categories.
Go ahead.
So Alexandra, if you just kind of keep going, you'll get down to, this is a lot of what I think we've shared with you, but there should be a levels. Is it coming up? One more. Shows you where our states are. Here are our memberships. And as Bonnie has said, they kind of go, we've gone from the top down to the individual.
Maybe scroll a little fast through the platinum membership there. So the membership drive actually started in July, and the membership was $25 from July through December 31st, and that was $25 for individual members. So obviously, if you sign up now, that membership for an individual goes until December 31st. And then the small business, which starts at $100, that's annually, and then it tells you how many people, and you can see that here on the membership information. And depending on what you want, as far as your business listing would be the level that you would choose for membership.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Obviously, all this information is on the Live Events Coalition website. I'm going to throw back to our fearless president, international president, Dana McCullough, to close us out.
Dana, can I jump in just for one quick second? Because there's someone who asked about a community day in Canada. And my next call is to have a conversation, and America, ILEA, I'm going to pull you into this call too as soon as I get off this initial call. But there is discussion right now across industries and across associations for an American September Action Day. And as soon as I find that information out, I'm coming back to Dustin, Lisa, and Dana and let you guys know what that is. So whoever that is in Canada that has some information, can you send it my way? I'd be curious as to whether or not we can coordinate both of those action days. I'm now putting my mute on, Dana, and I'm shutting.
No problem at all, Nancy. And I did pop in the chat, but just to clarify to the folks who had questions, ILEA is also a 501c6, and our focus is on professional development and business education for all of our members. So just to answer that question that came up, and as Dustin mentioned, we will be sharing more information with the chapter leaders to follow. So with that said, thank you so much, Nancy and Bonnie, for being here today. Wow, sharing the work that you're doing with the Live Events Coalition. We really appreciate you coming on today to let us know more about it. And Dustin, a big thank you to you for always ensuring a great conversation for our members, and to Lisa and Alexandra for making sure everything goes smoothly. Before we wrap up, I wanted to just say a few final words to our ILEA members and to the entire Live Events community. The future is ours to create. And I know that right now it doesn't always feel that way, and that there have been and there will be difficult hours, days, and weeks for all of us. We are in it together, so reach out. We are always here as friends for each other. And as we've heard today from our friends at the Live Events Coalition and on all of the ILEA webinars to date, there is action we can all take to actively rebuild and recover this industry that we all love so very much. So please know that ILEA will continue to monitor the needs of our community and members by listening, responding, and providing these valuable resources. I invite all of you, that includes Nancy and Bonnie, you're welcome back anytime, to join our future ILEA webinars and continue to share what you want and what you need from our association. We know that things are ever changing and we want to hear from you. And please reach out to your local ILEA chapter leadership. There are chapters all across the country and around the globe, and get involved in your local community efforts. It all starts locally and then goes globally, and we really are stronger when we're all united. I invite you to continue to be deeply engaged in the rebuilding of our industry, and please know ILEA is committed to doing absolutely everything that we can to support the recovery of our members and to enable a powerful recovery for all of our industry. So thank you all for joining today, and we'll look forward to seeing you all very soon. Lisa, Dustin.
Thanks, everybody. Big shout out to our partners at the Giants for supporting us and taking care of these webinars. We went over again today. That's my second one in a row that I let go over. I'm sorry. I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and we will see you all very soon.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Everyone.